You guys, the time has come. I am finally giving you a booth update. I think it's been probably a year or so, if not more, since I last did a booth specific video here on this channel. So let's roll that intro and get right into today's video. Hey guys, I'm Ken. You've arrived in my weird little corner of the internet. Welcome. If you're new here, I'm a part-time reseller, mostly on eBay and Poshmark, but I also have an antique booth at a local antique mall, and today that's where we are going. So I have a few things to tag to bring down there. I will show you around the mall at the other vendors' booths. I will also show you what mine looks like right now. Disclaimer, it's kind of a mess, and then we will come back and talk a little bit about numbers, what's been selling for me, what hasn't been selling, how my booth is doing, and how I see that part of my resale business going in the future. I apologize if my eyes look a little red in this video. This is the first time I'm wearing my contacts in about 10 days, so they're a little iffy still, to say the least. But yeah, let's get right into this video. Okay. This is what I am bringing to the booth today that I still have to tag. So these I shared recently. These are vintage Christmas ornaments. They were originally $2.99. I also shared this recently too. This is like a little glass trinket box. These I got on Friday. I haven't shared this yet in the haul, and I probably won't since I'm bringing it to the booth, but I did pick up one of these vintage drying racks. I usually get around $12 for those. These I also got the same day as the drying rack. This is a set of 6 Fire King plates. I still have to take off the ×6 on there. I think I might price these around 20 or 25. Then we have this little wooden raised bowl. This was a personal thrift find from, I don't know, forever ago, but I have no longer a need for it. So this is going to go to the booth. And then the biggest piece is this mid-century modern, say hi to the vlog, Clove. This mid-century modern plant stand. It was originally white, and I actually bought it from someone at my antique mall and then spray painted it matte black. I've been using it for a while, but now that we have the kitten and she's highly interested in plants, not all of which are safe for pets, because I didn't have a cat for a while. So this is gonna go to the booth, and then I have moved the plants to other places that she can't reach. And yeah, I'm gonna tag those and then we will head over to the booth. Okay, so this is an example of one of my tags that I make for my booth. HAV is my vendor code, Home Again Vintage. A30 is my inventory number for my spreadsheet and bookkeeping. B104 is my booth number. This is the price, this is the item. Excuse my poor handwriting, I don't really try to write nice. And then it will coincide, if you can see this, hopefully the glare isn't too bad, with my spreadsheet. I have one specifically for my antique booth. As you can see there, the highlighted line, A30 vintage drying rack, $12. And I highlight it so that when I get back later and do my bookkeeping, I can just add my cost of goods. That's what the other blank field is. And yeah, that's how I keep track of all of my inventory that is booth specific. And this is my little quick cart that I use to transport all of my stuff. Everything in there is tagged. I got this quick cart for $20 at the thrift store. I think I had 20% off, so I think it cost me about $18. It folds up and I just keep it in my car so that it's easily accessible. Okay, you guys, so I am back from my booth. I'm sorry that I didn't get too much footage in there. It was a Sunday, and Sunday is the busiest day in my experience at the booth, and I don't like to get people on camera because, you know, they're not consenting to being on camera, and especially so when it comes to people's children. And there were a few kids in the store shopping around with their parents, so that made things a little bit difficult, but hopefully you at least got an idea of the kind of overall vibe of the antique mall that I sell at. And of course, my booth is very full and very chaotic for me, and we'll talk about this in a little bit, but because of how it's been doing for me in 2022 and the uncertainty of the future for it, I'm kind of just trying to, at this point, cram a whole lot of crap in there and see what sells so that I can decide whether it's something I want to keep going forward or move on from. But anyway, I got my little printout for December. They had already closed the books for November. So at this antique mall, we get paid once a month, or we have a negative balance so we don't get paid, but once a month, and the checks become available on the 10th of the month. Sometimes the owner is really on top of getting everything closed out, and sometimes he's not. So usually when I go in this early in the month, nothing is closed out, and they will give me last month's and this month. Not the case this time, unfortunately, and I haven't been to my booth since before Thanksgiving. So at this point, I'm kind of going every 2 weeks, so bi-weekly. It's just working better for me with gas prices and all of that, and I just simply don't have the time to go there every week anymore. So I only have 3 things that have sold so far in the month of December. All 3 sold on the 3rd. I sold a Wilson sewing box. This was a vintage one. It was yellow. Hello, clove. This sold for $21.95. I got this from the bins. I paid 85 cents for it. The other thing that sold was a piece of like Aztec sand wall art. I picked this up from a thrift store for $4, $3.99 actually. And I didn't notice until I got it home that it was flawed. Some of the heads on the people were gone. I don't know where they went to. So I priced this at $14.95 and that sold. And you can tell that all 3 of these are pretty old because we have recently moved away from being able to use cents for our prices. Everything has to be a whole dollar. And the other thing that sold was a Philippine import carved vase. This sold for only $11.95 and I paid $3.48 from a Savers. So not a great sale there, but again, I'm always happy to move stuff. So a little bit of background on my booth because a lot of you guys are interested. My booth, when I first started in November of 2020, so I just hit my 2-year anniversary, I had a very small booth and my booth rental fee was, I think, $55. Super easy to make that $55. I did really well at that time. And then about 6 months in, I upgraded to the booth that I have now. I don't know the size. They don't really give that information to us, and I haven't taken the time to go in and measure it. And that started out at $175 per month. It has now increased, I think, as of September 1st this year to $189 per month. And that has really been detrimental to my booth and its failure or success rate, if you will. So we don't have to pay any fees. The only thing that we have to pay aside from the booth rental fee every month is that we do incur the charges from people using credit cards to purchase our items. I think it's like a 3% fee. I don't have to go into the booth to work. That was the main selling point for selling at this particular location, because, you know, I work full time. I have my reselling side business. There just isn't enough time in the week, in the day, in the month for me to have to go and work a shift or multiple shifts at another location. Just to be able to sell there. So again, main selling point in picking this location. It's called Stillwater Antiques, aka Antiques Alley. It goes by both names. It's located in Rhode Island, in northern Rhode Island. It's in, I think technically it's called Greenville, but it's basically Smithfield, Rhode Island, if you're familiar with that area. They're open Thursday through Saturday, 10 to 5. And then Sunday, 11 to 5. So they're not open every day of the week. Wednesday is vendor day. I have never been in there on a Wednesday actually, because as I've said, I work full time, but they're open normal hours, I believe 10 to 5 on Wednesdays, just for the vendors to come in and, you know, not have customers around to be able to update their booths. Sadly, I can never take advantage of that, so I always just go on the weekend when it's busy. Let's go into some numbers. So for 2021, my total profit from my booth space was $818.53. So far in 2022, this does not include November because I don't have that information yet. It won't be available until the checks are cut on the 10th of the month, and I will be on vacation at that point, so I won't get that and probably until the following weekend when I can get down there. But my profit from January to October, $246.37. That's almost $600 less than I made at my booth last year. So it hasn't been going well. One caveat I will say, the fact that I haven't also been to the Goodwill outlet bins in over a year has been a major factor in that. I love to source for my booth at the bins because the thrift store prices at just every thrift store in the area are really high for hard goods, and it just doesn't make sense for what I can charge at my booth to pick up a lot of items from thrift stores in most cases. So I try to exclusively get stuff from the bins and bring that to the booth. When I was doing that on a regular, semi-regular anyway, basis, my booth was performing a heck of a lot better than it is right now. So if I want to continue going forward with having this, you know, in-person space to sell goods out of, I probably need to work frequent bins trips into my routine, maybe once a month, stuff like that, just because the cost of goods is so incredibly low at the bins that it really just makes the most sense for me and my business. Right now, sourcing at regular thrift stores, on that. And a lot of the stuff that I've been bringing to my booth is stuff that just was my personal item, and I just either don't use it anymore or can't find a space for it, or I love to switch things up in my house. Everybody makes fun of me for it because I'm constantly changing things style-wise in my home, just because I like the variety. I'm here all the time because I work from home, so I like to see new stuff. So a lot of the times if I'm moving on from something, I will bring it to the booth versus listing it online on eBay, Poshmark, whatever. So that's a big factor. In 2022, I've had 5 months where I've been in the red. That means I had a negative balance at the end of the month that I then had to make up for the following month. April, June, July, September, and October. Now, if you're not familiar with being a vendor at an antique mall or having like a flea market booth, the summer months, not the best time. People are outside enjoying the nice weather, not really going and spending time walking around a stuffy mall to find vintage goods. It's well known in the community, but yeah, 5 months this year so far, because I don't know if November was red or not. The last time that I went into the booth before Thanksgiving, like I said, my balance was $114.90. So unless I made like another $75 at least, I would be in the red again for November. So that would be month number 6. In 2021, I only had 2 months that I was in the red, and that was June and September. Again, the nice time of the year where people are not as often shopping in an antique mall. My best month of 2021 was January. I profited $360.75. That has been my best month to date. Again, we're just over the 2-year mark, so I don't have a whole lot of experience. But yeah, January of 2021 was great for me. I wish they could all be like that, and then I would definitely keep my booth. This year, my best month was March, and my total profit that month was $151.75. But in January of 2021, I had the smaller booth, so I was only paying, I think, $55 in rent. And then in March of this year, when I profited $151, I had the booth price, it was at $175 at that point. So that also factors into that. I had less rent in January and made more profit. I had a higher rent in March and made obviously less profit. So that's what, $120 difference. So if I added $120 to my month of March 2022, that's $270. It's a little bit closer in profit, if that makes sense to you guys. So I don't know. Being in the black, you know, only what, 5 months so far of the year, and $246 in profit. That's not even $250 in profit, and I could possibly have lost more money for November. I never did this for the money, to be fair. I did it because it was something I enjoyed doing. I set up a whole Instagram just for my shop. I haven't updated that page in probably a year. That could also be a contributing factor to it not doing so well this year, but you know, things change. You have to adapt, move forward. You obviously can't go backwards. So it's still up in the air. I have said to myself mostly that in February of 2023, I'm giving it until then, is when I will make my decision. I wanted to finish out the holidays because this time of year is typically the best for me in the last couple years that I've had this booth open. So I kind of want to see that through and see if that changes, but I don't know. So let me know in the comments down below if you have a booth space, how it's been performing. I know the economy is potentially a factor here. People don't have as much money to just throw around and buy random stuff that they find in an antique mall. It's also affected my online reselling business, so I kind of understand. But for me to drive 15-ish minutes bi-weekly even, and to be in the negative for at least half of the year is just not worth my time. My time is very valuable. I'm a mom first and foremost, so that takes priority over everything else. Hello to the baby. And then I have my full-time job, I have my online reselling, I have YouTube, I have Instagram. I like to travel. The whole reason I do this whole side hustle of reselling is so that I can travel the world. And if that's not really gonna be fruitful for me, then it might make more sense to just let it go and move on. There was another antique mall that I wanted to join, and they did offer me a booth space, and I totally dropped the ball on it, but it's more expensive, like a few $100s more expensive per month for rent, and I would also have to work 1 8-hour shift per month, or otherwise pay an extra $100 to not have to work that shift. So if I'm, you know, barely making $250 in a year, it doesn't really make sense to move to that space. It's further away. It's about probably 30-35 minutes from me versus my 15 that I'm at now, plus the higher rent, plus having to work a shift or pay another $100. I could probably charge more for my items there. That's the one good thing about that. And it's accessible 24/7, so I could go in at any time, you know, film content, work on my booth space when time allows, instead of, you know, having to work within the open hours of the 4 days a week that my current one is open at. So I don't know. what do you think I should do, guys? Because I'm kind of stuck here and I don't know if it really makes sense for my business moving forward to keep my booth. I do still love it. I do. I don't know if it makes sense. So I'm gonna go over just a couple like things that have sold so far in 2022, so you can kind of see what's moving for me and for what price points. Now again, we're in Northern Rhode Island, and this place honestly doesn't generate a premium for your items, if that makes sense. It's like a nice way of putting it. So I kind of have to take a hit on what I can charge for my items sometimes. But as an example, I sold a Santa snow globe in November that sold for $20. That was from my personal collection. I just don't use it anymore. I also sold a jewelry box. It had like a cane on the top, and that sold for $20. That was also another personal item. If you see a theme here, I sold a vintage Sirocco MCM floral wall hanging for $28. I paid $4.99 for that at a thrift store. This is all November. I sold a couple pumpkins. I had moved a lot of my Halloween and fall decor that I no longer wanted for my space. I moved that over to the booth, so a couple of those sold. I did sell a couple Anthropologie mugs. I had the Anthro mugs listed on Poshmark, but not on eBay. I don't know for what reason. I think because on Poshmark it was easier to just make a multi-quantity listing and I could put each monogram letter, but all under the same listing. But I ended up moving those over to the booth. Sorry, my brain. Anyways, I sold a moving on to October, I sold a large woven seagrass tray. Again, another personal item that sold for $19.16. It was $22 was the price that I put on the tag, but because of the 3% credit card fee, it ended up being $19.16. I've also sold a ton of little tiny Pokemon figures. I buy them from Facebook Marketplace. I think it's $12 and you get 24 or 48 of them. I can't remember. I will put it on the screen. And I list them, I put them in a bowl in my booth, and I put a little tag on the bowl that says 50 cents each, 2 for $1. I know it's the same, 50 cents or 2 for $1, but people like to see the 2 for $1. So I put both on there, and I sell out of them like almost immediately. As soon as I bring them in, they're gone the next time that I get to the booth. Again, I'm not really making much profit. I'm probably just doubling my money, I think is what it is. But I am happy to see those move really fast. I sold another snow globe. This one was Disney. I did pay for this one at a thrift store. I paid $2.99 and that sold for $16. I sold a couple yard signs like for Halloween. One was a ghost that sold for $12. I got $11.61 because they used a credit card to pay. I sold some skulls. I have sold driftwood, you know, just driftwood that you could go to a beach and just get for free. It sells. So if you find that, pick it up. I've also picked up driftwood from the bins and sold that. People buy sea glass. People buy shells. Those are just things that you could just pick up without any cost to you. It's just a little bit of a time investment. Let's see. I sold a Big Sur license plate wall art. That sold for $25. I paid $3.19 for that. I do have a couple big things in my booth that aren't moving, so I think I maybe need to go in and reprice them. I have this really beautiful, it used to be in the background of some of my videos when I would film in my bedroom because I use it as a headboard, but it's like a room divider. It's just from Target, but it's from Target Opal House, and it was super expensive. I found it on Facebook Marketplace for $20. It was a score. I was in love with it, but it just didn't work in my space anymore, so I moved it there, but I think I priced it too high because it's been sitting there for, I want to say 6 months, and nobody wants it, and I think it's gorgeous, so I don't know. Maybe it's just me and I think it's pretty and more valuable than other people do. Again, I sold some more mugs, more Pokemon. I sold a couple planters. I sold one for $18. More driftwood sticks. One large piece of driftwood sold for $15. Again, no cost to me. I just found it at the beach and decided to take it home. I had kind of a beach decor at one point in my life, a very long time ago, and it kind of just hung around. I sold a made in Japan dog figurine for $16. I sold a Southwestern wolf. It's like a wooden wolf. That sold for $20. That was in September. Let's see, Pokemon monogram mug. I sell a lot of like African wooden masks. I've had a bunch from Ghana that I found. I found some wood tone ones. I found some black ones. They always sell really well, and always at least $20 I can get for them. So every time I see them in the thrift store, I will pretty much always pick them up. And in this case, I sold 2 in August. I paid $5.59 for each. One sold for $22 and one sold for $20. One was just a little bit bigger, so that's why there's a difference in price. I sold a carved book stand for $25. That was a good sale. That was also another personal item. I sold a deer skull for $100. To be fair, I got this at a different antique mall for $80. It had like a messed up antler. One antler went the opposite way. So it was really hard. I tried to hang it up on my wall because I just thought it was so interesting. But because the antlers went like this back one would hit the wall and you couldn't really hang it or mount it anywhere. So I had it on top of my dresser for forever. I thought it would be really cool if I, you know, hung jewelry off the antlers and stuff, but I don't really wear jewelry, so I don't have much of it, and so it was just basically an ornament on my dresser. So I put that in my booth. That sold really quick. I think it was gone by the next time I went there. That was $100, but again, I paid $80 a couple years ago for that, so it's not really much profit there. I have sold some pottery, vases, crocks, all kinds. I have sold a couple plants. There is one plant lady in there that I absolutely love. I think I showed it in the video when I was going around the store, but her booth is my absolute favorite, and quite a few of my houseplants have come from her booth. But I did sell some cuttings, $5 and $6 a piece. Nothing crazy. I only kind of do that like on the side when I feel like it. I will take the time and cut some of my plants and propagate them. I also sold a propagation station. So yeah, that's kind of the type of stuff that I'm selling in my booth. A lot of vintage and mostly boho type of stuff because that's my personal aesthetic. So that's what I gravitate towards in the thrift store. But yeah, that's all I have for this video. I hope it was somehow helpful for you. I promise I will get some better booth content videos before February comes, in case, you know, that's no longer a thing for me. You guys seem to like the booth videos. I know I've only done a few of them, but I think the first one I did has over 1,000 views, which for me is a lot. So I'm definitely looking forward to maybe making some more content about that, just in case, you know, it's no longer a thing for me, because you guys seem to enjoy it. So if there's anything booth specific, booth related that you would like to know or like to see, please leave it down below in the comments. I would love to get that and put that together for you, because, you know, this is as much for me as it is for you. I want to know what you guys want to see. But yeah, that's everything for this video. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I appreciate every single one of you. I can't say that enough, who come out and hang out with me on these videos. I love it. It's awesome. I think YouTube is a wonderful platform. I consume a heck of a lot of YouTube content. But if you enjoyed this video at any point, please give it a big thumbs up. It really helps me out here on YouTube to know what type of content you enjoy seeing from me. And if you're not already subscribed, please consider subscribing. I'd love to have you here in my weird little family on the internet, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.